Chutes and Ladders by Conor Clark. The dock was too new. It didn't belong yet, out of place among the cypress trees and dark tannic water. The boards still honey-colored, the screws still bright, no soft give beneath our feet. Mr. Riddle built it wide and long, a declaration, daring the land to take it back. I sat at the edge, heels knocking the planks, feet drifting in the cool relief. Kane sat beside me, quiet as always. Decades later, folks still say about Kane, "Shame they ever made that boy live indoors." Kane was always out, ready for an adventure. We weren't brothers, not really, but people thought we were. Same build, same sun-worn skin, same way we carried ourselves. Only difference was, Kane didn't have to prove anything to anyone. His family bought him that freedom. Me? I had to earn mine. The net was between us, old and worn, its lead weight smoothed from years of use. I picked at a tangle, talking just to fill the space. Brought up the time we lit fireworks behind the Walgreens, how Kane swore he could hit the dumpster from 50 feet but sent a bottle rocket skidding under some lady's Camry instead. He just shook his head, smiling, said she was driving too fast anyway. I laughed. That was the least of our problems that night. Then stood, gripped the horn, and swung smooth. The net fanned wide, hung for a breath, then sank. Kane gave a slow nod, high praise from him. We took turns throwing, watching the dome flutter down into Mr. Riddle's pond. I pulled in the net, fish chattering, fins flicking against the mesh. I grunted, tossing them in the bucket. The fish didn't know we'd throw them back. Behind us, Mrs. Riddle moved through her garden, pulling weeds with her bare hands. She was friends with my mom from her old job. The Riddles were like family, unofficial aunts and uncles, bound by sweat and circumstance. Her plants grew thick, a little too wild for the manicured lawn, for the house that still smelled of fresh lumber. They hadn't been here long. They'd built big, carved their space out of the swamp like they meant to tame it, dug a retention pond, piled the earth into mounds we used for dirt bike ramps, scattered clay throwers throughout the woods. I swear there was a loaded gun in every room you stepped in. A skiff sat under the trees, collecting iridescent shades of colorful grime, awaiting its fateful day to run again. A backwoods Disneyland. But the land always crept back in, sinking its roots into whatever wasn't paying attention. Mrs. Riddle didn't seem to mind. She waved as she watered her cabbages, but there was something in the way she moved, like she was holding everything together on her own. Maybe she was. The screen door banged open, heavy boots on the porch. I didn't have to look to know it was Mr. Riddle. He stretched, rolling his broad shoulders, a beer already sweating in his hand. The end of summer party was tonight. That's why we were here, to help, to do whatever needed doing. Mom dropped Kane and me off that morning on her way to work. An osprey knifed into the pond, a flash of white against the dark water. It hit hard, wings churning, then rose with a bluegill thrashing in its talons. The fish flared its spiny dorsal, silver-green scales flashing, gills fluttering like torn lace, its mouth stretched wide, gasping at nothing, eyes round and staring, like someone with something to say but no breath left to say it. Mr. Riddle watched the bird go, then turned to Kane and me. "Gonna be a great party tonight, boys. All we need now is a zip line." He clapped his hands, grinning. "Conor," he said, voice smooth as river silt, "need your help with something." Kane didn't move, didn't even look up. That wasn't how it worked. I wiped my hands on my shorts, grinning like it was any other job. Mrs. Riddle looked up from the dirt, her hands still tangled in the roots, but she didn't say a word. I let the net slip. It hit the water and was gone. Mr. Riddle ran construction for Palencia, a doomed sprawl set to pack 10,000 homes into 5,000 acres of once wild swamp. The housing crash put the development on ice, so nobody cared if a few supplies went missing. Our list was long: bolt cutters, quarter-inch steel cable, clamps, hooks, epoxy, fasteners. Mr. Riddle's truck rattled down the dirt road, a graveyard of crushed cans and old tools shifting in back. Kane sat still, arms crossed, hat low. I watched the tree line, hoping for a rabbit, a hawk, even just a breeze, anything to break the hot monotony. The truck shuddered to a stop. Mr. Riddle reached under his seat, pulled out a ring of keys and turned to us, smoke curling from his lips. He dangled them my way. "I'll wait here. Take what we need and grab the biggest ladder you can find." He smiled. "Sometimes you do something you shouldn't. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes you do it anyway." I grabbed the keys and jumped out before I could change my mind. Kane followed, silent. The gate groaned open. The swamp closed in around us, thick with gnats swarming our eyes, our mouths anywhere soft. Sweat poured down our backs long before we hit the shanty. Kane wiped his brow. "Isn't this stealing?" I heaved a spool of cable into the wagon and sighed. "It's broad daylight, we have keys, and he unlocked the gate for us." All true, but my stomach still turned. It wasn't about right or wrong. It was about doing what Mr. Riddle asked. I dragged my shirt across my face and went to the door of the construction shanty, shoving the key into the rusted lock. It stuck, then gave, the knob turning with a grunt. We stepped inside. Stale air swallowed us. Dust floated in streaks of light cutting through the slats. A metal desk sagged under paperwork and empty cans. The place stank with sweat and sawdust. I crouched under the desk, digging through the mess for the clamps we needed. Kane rifled through bins, tossing boxes of fasteners into the wagon. "Check it out!" Kane's voice cut through the damp air. I knocked my head on the desk as I rose. Kane flashed that same grin of his, but a little wider this time, a little wilder around his eyes, holding up a battered box of Ice House. "Hell yeah!" I clapped my hands. He tossed me a can. We cracked them open, and foam exploded everywhere, soaking my hands, my shirt, the desk. We looked at each other in shock. "Ass! He's gonna know," Kane sputtered, blinking through the beer in his eyes. I wiped my chin, laughing. Does he really care? He's been drinking since lunch. Kane didn't argue, just took a slow sip, wiped his mouth. I took a deeper one, the beer thick and bitter in the heat. "We'll swim after this," I said. "Wash off the smell." Sound logic in my mind. All sins washed away with dirty pond water. Kane exhaled, shook his head. "Fine, whatever." Close enough to agreement. We loaded the last supplies and pushed into the sun. The heat hit like a wall. Halfway back, we ditched our cans into the brush, metal clattering before vanishing into the green. Mr. Riddle was waiting, leaning against the truck, crushing out his cigarette. He eyed the overflowing wagon, then us, then grinned. "Good boys," he said, pushing off the hood. "Let's get to work." He sniffed the air as we hauled the wagon back up to the truck. His lip curled just a little, and he looked at me first, then Kane. "Y'all been drinking?" It wasn't a question. Kane's face stayed blank, but I knew him too well. He was holding his breath. I gulped, wiped my mouth like I could erase the scent. "Just one," I admitted.